and welcome to another segment of 3-Minute Tidbits brought to you by Clemson Snapbed. So essentially this time we're going to be talking about food storage, so stay tuned. So there's three things that you need to be concerned with when storing your perishable foods, specifically within your freezer and your fridge, and that would be temperature, food placement, as well as airflow. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and talk about today, of course, is temperature, all right? That's so important when we're talking about our fridge and our freezer. So the proper cooling range for our refrigerator would be 34 degrees Fahrenheit and 40 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? That is our proper cooling range to keep our food, A, fresher longer, and B, reducing our chances of those nasty little foodborne illnesses. Now for our freezer, we want to keep it at 0 degrees Fahrenheit or below, because again, we want to keep our food frozen. Now, something that's super important that we want to talk about when we're discussing temperature within our food, as well as our fridge, as well as even our freezer, is the danger zone, all right? Now, the danger zone is essentially the temperature range between 41 degrees Fahrenheit and 135 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, what this means is that during this particular range, you have an increased chance of bacterial growth on your food and within your refrigerator that can increase your chances of getting foodborne illnesses, and those aren't so great. So the second thing we're going to go ahead and talk about today is food placement specifically within your refrigerator, all right? So the top and middle shelves are oftentimes designated for things like ready-to-eat prepared foods, leftovers, fruits, as well as some vegetables, cheeses, deli meats like your cold cuts, sandwich bread, as well as eggs in a carton and pickle products. Now for the bottom shelf, that's usually used for just your raw meats as well as some milk and other dairy products. Now for your raw meats, you want to make sure that you are packaging these things properly. We put them on the bottom shelf because we don't want them leaking all over our other foods. So you want to make sure you're either putting them in a nice Tupperware or glass container so that again they're not leaking everywhere, or even a storage bag. And then of course for your drawers, that's usually for our veggies and our herbs. Reason being is that A, we are decreasing the temperature fluctuations around these foods that tend to spoil very easily, and B, because a lot of these fruits and vegetables that grow a little closer to the ground, so those veggies and those herbs that grow a little closer to the ground, essentially come with a lot of dirt and soil on them, and that dirt and soil comes with bacteria, and we again don't want this getting all over all of our other food containers and things in our refrigerator. Now for the door, tends to come with different levels of shelves, drawers, sliding things, all that. But the main thing you want to keep in mind when we're talking about the door is that your top shelf is usually for your eggs, butter, and cheeses that you're going to eat within the next week or two. The middle shelf is for your condiments, and of course, that bottom shelf is for your beverages, so things like fruit juices, your wines, things of that nature. The last two things we're going to go ahead and talk about today are essentially food placement within your freezer as well as airflow within your freezer and your refrigerator. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, the top shelf within your freezer is usually designated for ready to eat food products as well as frozen fruits, frozen vegetables, things of that nature. Bottom shelf for meats only. Okay, when you're first putting it in that freezer, we don't want all those juices, blood, things of that nature dripping on our other food products in our freezer. It's just gross. We don't want that. All right, now the door of the freezer is usually designated for ready to eat food products that you're going to eat within a few weeks, all right, because it's not as close to that air vent, and so it's not staying as cool. It may not be as frozen as ones that are closer to the air vent, so we want to maintain that proper temperature and keep things healthy. So the door, ready to eat foods that you're going to eat within a few weeks. Now, as far as the airflow between your refrigerator and your freezer, you want to make sure that you're not overpacking it. If you're overpacking it, then you're decreasing the airflow that can get around your food, keep them cool and at their proper temperature. If you're not at your proper temperature, you're having hot spots. Hot spots between that 41 degrees Fahrenheit and that 135 degrees Fahrenheit creates those pockets where you can increase your chances for bacteria, and that increases your foodborne illnesses. So just not great for you and your family, all right? So overall, don't overpack your fridge and your freezer. This has been Samantha Pace from Clemson Snapbed. Thanking you again for joining me for another video. Bye guys.